All right, today we are going to do arroz con gandules, or otherwise known as gandule rice. So these are our main ingredients. We have just standard canola oil to the left, regular salt, the Goya all-purpose seasoning, the gandules themselves, the recaito and sofrito from Goya, got sliced pimientos to the far right, and green onions in the back, cilantro in the front with the onion, garlic, and then we will be adding bacon to this dish, and we'll also have the sazon from Goya and the sabor de jamón from Goya for the rice as well. Again, so this is arroz con gandule, otherwise known as gandule rice, and then we'll be cooking this up with pork chops as well. So chuletas will be added, and we'll show each step of the process, but these are the ingredients that we'll be cooking with today. All right, one of the most important things when you're cooking with rice, don't forget that we want to clean/wash the rice. So use your rice bowl or other device that you have to clean rice. Right, just go ahead and pour some water in there. I use either the back end of a wooden spoon, and you're just simply gonna mix it, and you'll start to notice that the water will gradually turn murky, opaque. And then once it reaches the point where you don't think it could get any worse, then you want to go ahead and pour the rice out, add more water, rinse and repeat until the water itself maintains a very transparent, see-through lightness. Right, so you can see on this one, it's already starting to get that opaque, murky, dirty white. Right, this is kind of why they always recommend washing your rice. So you can do that. Just simply pour it out, and then we will rinse and repeat. Alright, arroz con gandule rice. So here our pot is coming up to heat. Right, so first we want to put in some of the canola oil that we had looked at earlier. I used to maybe just do 2 caps. Right, and the first ingredient that we want to throw in there is going to be the bacon. And watch out for the splashback, right? But we want to let this come to a certain cooking point. Now I let this cook, I take it out, I cut it, and then I'll put it back in, and then we'll start mixing in the rest of the ingredients. So just kind of mix that around, let it cook. And we'll let that sizzle settle in. Alright, so you cook the bacon to a point that you're comfortable with. I like the way the bacon looks now. Right, so we're just going to use some prongs. And I'm going to set these aside. Right, so let that grease kind of drip back into the pot here. We're gonna start loading the pot with our next ingredients. Right, so again, you take the bacon off to the side, and then you're gonna chop that, and then you'll put it back in as smaller pieces for cooking. Our chopped ingredients, so here we have cilantro, green onion, garlic, and white onion. I like using these personally, and they also add a great smell to the kitchen. They smell phenomenal. All right, so put some of those in there. I also like adding a little bit of pimientos, maybe just a spoonful again for smell. Just kind of mix that in there. That aroma is pretty intoxicating, right? It's cooking in the remaining of the bacon grease that's in there as well, right? So let that cook. Now the gandules that we had, so we'll take those and we're gonna pour a little bit of the liquid in there along with the gandules. And then we'll scoop some of those out. About half, since we only use a cup of rice. Right, and we're gonna take the recadito, right? We'll use one, and then the sofrito, we'll use one as well. Right now, again, you kind of stir that. So we're gonna let the gandules cook for just a little bit, and then we're gonna add some seasoning that we showed earlier in the packets. Right, so now the aroma will really start coming through. And then once you start adding the additional seasonings, again, kind of just taste as you go along to make sure it's to your liking. All right, so now we can see that everything's kind of coming to a boil, right? So we're gonna take our clean rice that's been sitting on the side, and now we're gonna add this to the mix here. And then we have water that we're also adding in, right? So generally it's a cup of rice, cup and a half of water, but we're about a quarter of a third of water to the amount of rice that we have, because we also used a little bit of that gandule juice to add on here, right? So we want to mix that in there. All right, like that. The stove is, on this stove, it's 8 out of 10. We're going to crank it up just a little bit. Again, this is a regulated stove, so unfortunately this probably doesn't get hot as common stoves. But again, unlike a rice cooker, you're going to have to monitor this rice, make sure it doesn't dry up or start to burn at the bottom. So we will be stirring this occasionally, and then we'll check back once we're at a point where it's ready. All right, after tasting the rice, you find where it's at a good taste point, good flavor, right? So we're gonna set this off, and we're gonna move over to the pork chops. Now, before we set this off, remember we had the bacon on the side, so we'll go ahead and bring the bacon back in, chopped, and then we'll just add the bacon to the dish here. All right, and then now you just simply mix the bacon in. Right, and this is what we're gonna use for the pork chops. I'm not gonna put too much oil, maybe just 1 cap there. So we'll let the pan come to heat. All right, so we're now on to a 12-inch pan, so we can cook both pork chops at the same time. Again, they're bone-in pork chops, lightly seasoned with the multi-seasoning. These are definitely a lot thicker of a cut than I would normally use. However, given the current situation, this is what was available. Right, so you let them sit on one side, let that side kind of cook thoroughly, flip it to the other side, let it cook thoroughly, rinse and repeat, and then again check the temperature periodically to make sure you're reaching that internal temperature of about 170 degrees for pork. Alright, so the pork chops have reached, I don't know if you guys saw that, so I'll go back. The pork chops reached that internal temperature we're looking for, right? So they're right at the cusp of 170, right? So which is the recommended cooking internal temperature for pork. So the stove is shut off, right? So we're gonna let that just sit by itself, and then we'll go ahead and plate the arroz con gandules with the pork chops on the side, and we'll show you that here shortly. A lot of flavor in here. Takes a little while to cook, but again, cook to your liking. Arroz con gandule with una chuleta pork chop, pan fried, cook internal temperatures 170. All right, so hopefully you guys get a chance to try it and can find the ingredients to go ahead and make this dish your own and share it with someone who likes delicious food.